All right. Hello, Jonathan.
Hi, Andy.
How are you?
I'm great. Thank you very much. Despite the situation around the globe, but as you can see here in the back, I'm still I'm at home in Bali. So yeah, having a nice time.
Great. So we are here, like online, through this, virtual conversation to talk a little bit about coronavirus. As you know, it has been a pandemic and it progresses like rapidly, and the government has taken preventive measures to prevent the spread of this virus by imposing lockdown and social distancing. However, at the same time, like these preventive measures creates a situation like crisis where people and the businesses are facing challenges just to survive. So as a businessman yourself, we want to know what you have in mind in regards to this decision and to the current crisis. So if you would let me to start with my first question, because I have 5 questions here, like for you to answer. And my first question is, do you think that the government has taken the right approach to this pandemic by imposing social distancing and lockdown?
Yeah, it's really a good question, and I'm not an expert. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a virus expert or anything like that. But of course, from a business perspective, or with the responsibilities I have with many businesses around the globe and many employees around the globe, of course, I have the responsibility to look into data and follow the situation day by day. And I have done that, of course, and I'm still doing that. And what I have experienced through research and following the situation and the development of this crisis, this COVID-19 virus, it seems that as more and more data comes in, it seems that their potential crisis is actually decreasing, meaning that it seems from data, it seems from the latest research that it's not as mortal as many people believed in the beginning. So, and that's a positive thing, and we have to remember that as well. When that is said, I certainly believe it's very crucial for everyone not to let yourself be steered by the fear as a crisis like this, of course, can create in people. And that also counts for leaders around the globe, whether they're business leaders or politicians. Again, when I look into the situation and I analyze and try to conclude the best I can, it seems that the decisions that the politicians have made is based on quite a short-term thinking, because the potential crisis arising from this lockdown we have is even bigger than, the consequences are even bigger than the virus crisis itself, potentially. We don't know yet, but let's see. What we know is that the markets and the whole, when I say markets, I of course mean it's not just the stock market I'm talking about. It's the markets. They're around the globe. Products are not being sold. Businesses are closing down. People are being sacked around the globe, and that kind of can very easily create a downward spiral, which potentially can lead to a very big recession, kind of tomorrow, kind of say. So we have to be very careful about that as well. Why? Because a economic recession might create a much worse situation than the virus crisis itself, as I also mentioned before, and that counts for both the Western world as well as the less developed world. So it's very crucial to follow the situation closely, and and the politicians really have a huge responsibility when it comes to not to have the lockdown set up too long.
Okay.
So, and a short comment to that is you can see, especially in Europe, where they have followed a path of lockdown for a month. Let's see if it's really necessary to keep that lockdown after that month is went. But it's very difficult. It's easy 6 months from now and look back and be very clever on that. But in the situation our politicians, our leaders is in right now, it's not easy. But they have to not only think short term, that's my point, they have to think long term also when a crisis like this occurs. So, yeah.
So if you're looking at the data and the news and also about the progress of this situation right now, how long do you think this preventive measure will last?
That's also a very good question. Of course, I don't know, but one comment or one relevant comment is to say, from what I just mentioned, is they have to look into both the short-term and the long-term thinking, and as good as possible, the best they can, try to avoid this lockdown to be too long, because it will just create another crisis, an economic crisis, which is way more, I would say, potentially devastating, or potentially, destroying lives around the globe. To say it very direct. So that means, in mind, I really don't believe they will keep the lockdown. I really believe, despite the fact that when they begin to open their societies, this virus will, of course, hit more people, so to speak. But you can't avoid that, by the way. You can't avoid that. The virus has to spread. So what they do now is just to try to control that it's not spreading too fast, which means it will be too massive consequences on the hospitals around in the society. So the point here is you have to find that balance between the situation today, but also what we are actually creating tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
So but with that in mind, I would say I don't think that any leaders around the globe will keep the lockdown one day longer than needed, so to speak, and they will probably even risk to open up a bit before than keep it closed down, because the consequences are too massive.
All right. You have mentioned a little bit of how this situation can be potentially destructive, and however, can you please elaborate a little bit of what it means, this situation, and also the impact of these preventive measures on your life, or on the life of the people that you know, and also on the business itself?
Yeah, of course. I already mentioned a few, but to just go through, what does it mean when this virus or COVID-19 virus crisis evolve to become an economic crisis, what will happen? Yeah, we already see what happens, right? People are sacked around the globe, unfortunately. The negative impact is massive. It's very comprehensive. And that counts for both the Western world as well as the, let's say, less developed world. But I must say that if you're from I would say especially the northern part of Europe, where they have very strong healthcare systems and support for their citizens, systems set in place in Scandinavia and Holland, these countries. Of course, the consequences will not be as comprehensive as in other parts of the world, where you don't have a strong government or a strong system which takes care of people who has no jobs, for example. Mm-hmm. So they are, they are just left and have to, take care of themselves. Mm-hmm. But I would say whether you look into the northern part of Europe or the rest of Europe, or even in the part where I'm sitting here in Bali, in Indonesia, or in Southeast Asia, it will have a massive negative impact on people's life, not just because of people are getting, sacked from their jobs, but also mentally. It's not an easy period to go through as a human being. As I actually just shared this morning with through my Instagram profile with my tribe, is the importance of for all of us to actually hold the fear and anxiety and the feeling of despair, at distance. It's very crucial. It's very crucial. Whatever you do in your life, whatever your responsibilities in your life, we have to, hold the fear and distance. Why? Because we cannot make the right decisions if we are, letting fear in and being, steer our decisions from a fear place, or from a place where, fear and anxiety and, or despair is ruling, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So I would actually say that's very crucial point for people that's where we all can start, is not to let ourselves be controlled by our own fear. Mm-hmm. Despite the fact that you're going to be sacked maybe, or you're already being sacked, or the economic despair and the economic recession that we already are looking into as we speak will be comprehensive. It will be massive. But let's see what the politicians will do. Mm-hmm. On our side, on the business community side, as a leader, as a entrepreneur or business owner, we can take our part of the responsibility and try to steer our companies through this crisis without choosing the first solution as just sacking our people. Try to steer the ship through through this situation, and with a clear focus on we can get on the other side. We will get on the other side in just hopefully a couple of months from now, or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 months from now. Mm-hmm. So try to see if you can steer a ship through these difficult times without sacking people, without stopping all your operations, but try to move the ship forward and the company forward. Of course, in the end of the day, if it's a matter of survival, mm-hmm. you have to make the right decisions as well. Whether that actually means you have to fire some people, or if it's a matter of survival of the company. And hopefully this company or these companies who has to do that might be able to hire the same people again after the crisis. Yeah.
All right, so it's great, and it's what a coincidence, because you said that in this morning, and you just talk to your tribe or to your fellow businessmen, like on Instagram, and then like to kind of telling them of how to handle this situation or this crisis at this moment, which is actually related to my next question, in which I wanted to ask you, can you share a little bit insight of how to handle this situation? However, because you have explained very well of how to do this, then we can skip it, but of course you can still add something if there is something, if there is like any other ideas that come up like in your mind at this moment that you want to say.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I would say the most crucial thing is to start, working, with yourself, so to speak, and hold the fear and despair and anxiety and all negativity and lack of hope actually at distance. Try to work with yourself on that, but I would also say, keep your focus, keep your rhythm. And I would say, whether you work from home, whether you are a business leader, business founder, entrepreneur, or you are an employee working from home, or you unfortunately have been sacked from your job and now you're at home, whatever it is, keep your rhythm during the day. Don't fall down to despair and lack of hope, and keep your rhythm, and you can do it very easily actually. You set up a plan for each day, and you do that, the evening before, maybe, or the day before. You actually, as the last thing in the day before, you set up the plan for the next day. Okay, that's a good way, a very focused way to keep your pace, to keep your focus, to keep your mind the right place. Instead of, I would say, disappear to fear and lack of hope and all that. So, yeah, it counts for all of us.
Okay.
Keep the rhythm during the day, and keep the fear at distance. And if it's difficult to keep the fear at distance, the best way to actually approach fear is research. Why? Because research will lead you to the facts out there. They will lead you to the data we have also on this crisis. But whatever it is, focus on the facts. You do that by researching, and that will enlighten your mind, and an enlightened mind will help you hold the fear at distance. So yeah.
All right. So during this social distancing and lockdown and a foreseeable economic recession, I think, and then as you also already aware, it is very easy to feel down and have negative thoughts in your mind. So you have mentioned as well that in order to avoid this kind of attitude, you have to keep your rhythm, keep focus on what you want to do, and also at the same time you need to keep your mind stay positive. And is there like any other thoughts, or like maybe an advice that you can say to the people at home right now who are living and working at the comfort of their own home, but at the same time cannot go out as usual, like what they should do, or how to keep up the spirit and the morale, and and this is the last question that you can answer, and then before we end up this virtual conversation.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, of course, there. Look into the history and look into the facts, and it's very when you look into the bigger perspective, so to speak, or even when we are in the middle of a COVID-19 crisis or economic crisis, whatever it is, kind of crisis, or just a personal crisis, because that is actually what it is, first and foremost, right? You take these outer crises in and they become a part of you and your being and your personality. So that's what you have to deal with, whether you like it or not. So all that, it starts up here. It's, you know, it's really, I know some people might say that, oh, it's easy to say that it's just about the mindset, but it is, everything starts up here. So you need to train your mindset. It starts with actually that you take control over your own life and take responsibility for your own life. That's not an easy thing to do, but it starts with a decision that you look in the mirror and look at yourself in the mirror, and you decide and you tell yourself that the decision from now on is that you take responsibility for your own creation, so to speak, your own life, and therefore your own creation. And that also counts for your mood, whether you're happy or you're sad, or you're full of hope, or you don't have any kind of hope, or whatever it is. It starts up here, all of it. So in these times of trials, which is of course it is, I'm not blind. This is a very good opportunity for people who sits at home, because all of us are more or less quarantined, right? So we have to stay at home. It's a fantastic opportunity, if you ask me, a fantastic opportunity. Don't sit and watch TV all day. Don't, try to control your inner thoughts by, listening to a lot of music. And no, sit in silence and look at yourself, so to speak, within yourself, and try to grasp all this in you and the opportunities you get from this crisis as well. Because yes, it is an outer crisis, but it's first and foremost an inner crisis. Actually, it's your crisis. So you have an opportunity to learn and shape or reshape your mindset of how you approach life. Are you the right place? Ask yourself that question. Do you have the right job? Ask yourself that question. Do I lead in the right way? If you're a leader, ask yourself that question. Are you on the right track of entrepreneurship? Or are you on the right track of whatever you do, or education, or whatever? What do you have? What is the dreams you have in life? How do you find the right track to actually make these dreams not only possible, but actually make them alive and real in the future? Ask yourself these deep questions. Whether you're out of job now because you're sacked, or you're still in your job but you work from home, it doesn't matter, or you're an entrepreneur, you're a leader, or whatever you are, ask yourself these crucial questions. It's a great opportunity for all of us to actually look within ourselves and ask ourselves the question, am I the right place? And where do I actually want to go? Okay? When you have these answers, the next step for you is to actually begin to set up a plan. Yeah, I'm very concrete now. Begin to set up a plan of how you come from where you are to where you want to be in the future. Okay? And nothing is too big to achieve. Remember that. Again, we're back to this mindset. Nothing is too big to achieve. Okay? It's possible for everyone. Whatever you want to achieve, it's possible. I know a guy without arms and legs. He's the most positive and most inspiring, person, on this planet. I would say, he has a huge influence. Why? Because he has a lot of followers on different social media channels. Okay, so he inspired through the mindset he has. So don't tell me, or don't tell him actually, that something is not possible. Okay? By the way, he's married, happy, kids, everything. He has no arms, no legs. That just sets things into perspective. So don't bullshit yourself by coming up with excuses and so forth. Use this crucial time as a great opportunity to make a status in your life where you actually look into the matters that I just explained before. Where you are at the moment. Do you like where you are? Or where you want to get to, so to speak. What do you want to achieve in life? What is your dream? Or what are your dreams in life? And then set up the plan. Nothing is impossible to achieve. Just look at your peers around the globe. Just look at what people have actually achieved. It's also possible for you. Use this crucial time of quarantine. Mm-hmm. Actually looking into yourself and ask yourself these crucial questions. It will change your life, I promise you.
All right. Great answers. And I'm sure this conversation will be very useful, of which people at home can take advantage from. Thank you for answering my questions and have a nice day.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye. See you.
See you.